This place is called Ostaszewo. It is in Poland, northern Poland. It's about 5 kilometres from the sea, the Baltic. It is in the Żuławy region. That is to say, it's a region of the Vistula Delta. And so it's a low-lying region. It's noted for windmills, which were here to pump the water out once upon a time. And it is, I've got its very specific character. For example, you can see lots of buildings like this, and we've got one or two other rather attractive buildings as well, old buildings. There's something probably from the 19th century. It's a bank now, and we're going to see this church. This is the point of this visit. Now, I'm not into churches as a rule. I'm into old railway stations and old sewage plants and that type of thing. But occasionally there's a church that captures my eye. Now, I don't know a lot about the history of this place, but I do know that on the 4th of April 1945, an SS officer apparently ordered this church to be burned down. Right, so I got the date right. It was the 4th of April 1945. Now, by that time, of course, the Soviets were hundreds of kilometers to the west of here, but there was a bit in the Żuławy region where I don't have to call it bridgehead, but the Germans had been surrounded. And so this, for example, Stutov concentration camp wasn't liberated until the end of the war, whereas Gdańsk was captured in the middle of March 45. So, and here we have this church, which dates to 1290 or thereabouts. I do know that there was some restoration works that occurred on it around 1910. Now, as you can see, there is there's a graveyard here, so some of these places look pretty new. That's a very well kept grave. 30th of July 2013, so Stefan is being well looked after. So lots of graves, see, but these date to more recent times, Polish times. Since now this area here in the interwar period, Ostaszewo was in the Free City of Gdańsk. So the Free City of Gdańsk included a very large rural part to it, and so it would have been then, I think this would have been a Protestant church. The destruction of historical objects. What was the point of that? So it was 700 almost years old, 650 years old, and it was destroyed. It was like a bit like in nearby Malbork, Marienburg. It was defended, and despite the fact that even then there were conventions and rules against it. This sort of reminds me of the monasteries you find in Britain, which were destroyed in the 1530s, 1535, 1536, 37, by Henry VIII. Act of vandalism. When even the atheists are complaining at these acts of vandalism, it must be bad. I get the impression those doors look new, but maybe they're not. Well, I think that's very sad. That's my opinion. Totally unnecessary. Today we have, for example, in Afghanistan, we saw how the Taliban destroyed old Buddhas because they couldn't have something that was older than Islam. Now, the fact that the Soviets destroyed things, when they turned up in places like this, they rampantly destroyed. It was nearly always the second line as well. The first line, if you had the front line, they were less likely. They certainly destroyed things as well, but they were less likely to deliberately destroy things. And you could see things, for example, that obviously in the fighting things get destroyed. You have to. There's an enemy point there, so you have to bring down fire on it, and that's clear. But that something like this should have been destroyed. I hope now they leave it in this condition, of course, as a reminder. Now, there are lots of houses here from what's called the Mennonites. Mennonites were people who came from the region of what is today the Netherlands, and they came here for religious freedom in the, I think, the 17th century, but they did leave some rather interesting houses, and I'll stick some videos up with some of them. So the Vistula River is about 1 kilometre or so down there. Oh, and this is an interesting building. I noticed this earlier, that this was, so this is old, this bit here. And they appear to have stuck a new bit on it. There you go, and there's the new bit. Isn't that clever? At least it seems to be a new bit. I don't know. I think that's the sort of thing I really appreciate. There we have very interesting, nice old wooden building. For wooden buildings to survive, obviously, it's much harder because of they burn. And so in warfare you can't really expect them to survive. And here on the right we have, I think, a very interesting looking old house which I walked up here earlier. Sorry, the camera seems to have gone over to one side. There, isn't that attractive? Old house. I knew the dogs were here, but it still made me jump. So there's a quick look at some of the features of Ostaszewo. I hope you found that interesting. I upload every Tuesday and Friday at 2000 hours my time. So. And most of the stuff I do are documentaries, but anyway, there's a number of these walk around things as well. So, thanks for watching.